You've watched Buffalo get buried. You've watched Syracuse set records. You've watched the Great Lakes disappear under feet of snow. And you're sitting there in Tennessee, or the Carolinas, or Texas, watching your temperature drop into the 20s with not a single snowflake falling. Cold without snow. That's what you're getting. And it feels like winter is mocking you. But what if the pattern you've been waiting for finally develops in 2 weeks? What if the atmospheric setup that brings Gulf moisture north while Arctic air is in place actually happens this time? Would you be ready? Or would you be caught unprepared because you've stopped believing it's possible? At the 9-minute mark, I'm showing you the specific meteorological signals that indicate this time is different from the false starts earlier this winter. At the 16-minute mark, I'm walking through exactly what you need to do now to prepare for winter weather you're not used to handling. And if you comment your city and state right now, you're helping me understand exactly who's waiting and who needs this information most. December 31st, 2025, the last day of the year. And I want to talk about hope, preparation, and why both matter even when you've been disappointed before. Let me start with what's actually happening right now across the country, because understanding the current pattern helps you understand why the pattern shift matters. The Midwest, Ohio, Valley, and Northeast are in the middle of a significant winter weather event. Lake effect snow is producing record totals. Syracuse just measured 19.3 inches in a single day, an all-time record. Buffalo is getting buried. Erie, Pennsylvania is seeing 2 to 3 feet in the heaviest bands. Snow squalls are creating dangerous travel conditions across multiple interstate corridors. People are pulling over and crying after white-knuckle drives through conditions that go from clear to zero visibility in seconds. This is real winter, dangerous winter, impactful winter. And you're watching it from Tennessee or Texas or the Carolinas thinking, when is it our turn? The honest answer for the next week is it's not your turn. The pattern through the first week of January keeps you cold and dry. The storm track stays to your north. You're on the wrong side of the jet stream to see moisture. I know that's not what you want to hear. But I'm not going to give you false hope for the next 7 days when the pattern doesn't support it. What I'm going to do is show you why the second and third weeks of January look different. Why the signals we're seeing now are stronger than what we saw earlier in the winter when patterns looked favorable but never materialized. The key is the Arctic Oscillation and the North Atlantic Oscillation. These are atmospheric indices that measure pressure patterns in the Arctic and North Atlantic. When both are strongly negative, which they are now and will continue to be, you get blocking patterns that force the jet stream into unusual configurations. Earlier this winter, we had hints of negative AO and NAO values, but they were weak and short-lived. The patterns would start to develop, then break down. That's why forecasts showed potential for southern snow that never happened. Right now, the AO is at negative 2.5. That's strongly negative. The NAO is forecast to drop below negative 2. Also strongly negative. And the model consensus shows this persisting for at least 2 weeks, possibly 3. When you have strong, persistent negative AO and NAO values, the downstream effects are more reliable. The jet stream dips deeper south. It stays in that configuration longer. Storm systems have time to develop and track through the favored zones. This is the meteorological reason why mid to late January shows more promise than earlier forecasts did. It's not wishful thinking. It's pattern recognition based on atmospheric indicators that are more reliable than individual model runs. Now, I promised at the 9-minute mark I'd show you the specific signals that make this different. We're past that, so let me deliver. Signal 1, the Greenland blocking high is strengthening, not weakening. It's measuring 1,038 millibars and forecast to remain that strong through at least January 15th. Strong, persistent blocking creates downstream pattern persistence. Signal 2. The polar vortex is displaced and weak. When the polar vortex is weak, Arctic air escapes the polar region and floods south. We're seeing this now in the northern states. By mid-January, that displaced Arctic air extends further south. Signal 3. Sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico are above normal. Warmer Gulf water means more moisture available when the southern jet stream activates. More moisture means more potential for significant precipitation when it interacts with cold air. Signal 4. The Pacific pattern shows storm after storm hitting the West Coast starting next week. When Pacific systems cross the Rockies into a favorable jet stream configuration, they bring widespread weather impacts. This is the mechanism that brings winter weather to the south. These 4 signals together paint a picture that's more robust than what we saw earlier in the winter. That's why confidence is higher for the mid to late January timeframe. Now, let's talk about what this actually means for your specific area. Tennessee, Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, Chattanooga. You're in excellent position for the third week of January. The Tennessee Valley is right in the sweet spot when Gulf moisture tracks north and meets Arctic air. Nashville could see accumulating snow. Memphis likely sees a mix of ice and snow. Knoxville and the mountains, you're positioned for snow rather than mix because of elevation. Someone commented, if we don't get at least one good snow this year in the Tennessee Valley, I am going to cry. I hear you. You've been waiting. The pattern for mid-January gives you your best shot of the season so far. North Carolina. Both Piedmont and mountains. Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro, you need everything to line up perfectly to get snow. Cold air in place, moisture from the south, storm track that's not too far east or too far west. It's frustrating because it doesn't happen often. But the setup for the third week of January is as close to perfect as we see. Whether it verifies depends on details, we won't know until we're closer. But the pattern is there in a way it hasn't been all season. Western North Carolina mountains, you're in much better shape than the Piedmont because elevation helps you. Any system that brings moisture with temperatures near freezing, you can get accumulating snow where the Piedmont gets rain. You'll likely see multiple opportunities between now and the end of January. South Carolina, someone said us boys in SC would just like to see the 0.3 inches, gonna have to vacation in the Northeast just to see some snow. I understand the frustration. You're on the southern edge of winter weather potential. When North Carolina gets snow, you often miss. When you do get winter weather, it's usually ice, not snow. The third week of January puts you in marginal position. Northern parts of the state, upstate areas, have a chance. Southern parts, coastal areas, probably too warm, but even a chance is more than you've had most of the winter. Virginia, Richmond, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Roanoke, you're in that frustrating middle zone. Too far south for regular clipper systems, too far north for Gulf storms unless they track perfectly, right on the edge of coastal storms. Someone from New River Valley said they really hope for good snow. Mid to late January is your window. Coastal storms are more likely during that time frame. Whether they track far enough west to give you snow instead of staying out to sea depends on details that won't be clear until closer. Texas. Let's break this down by region because Texas weather varies dramatically. Panhandle, Amarillo, Lubbock. You're in good position for the third week of January. Elevated, close to cold air sources on the northwest side of Gulf moisture systems. 6 to 12 inches is possible if systems track favorably. DFW. You're on the line between snow, ice, and rain. Temperature profile determines what you get. After months of drought, any moisture helps even if it's rain, but the setup could bring you significant winter weather. Houston, Austin, San Antonio. You're marginal for frozen precipitation. If systems track perfectly and cold air is stronger than forecast, you could see snow. More likely you see rain, which you desperately need. West Texas. Someone commented they're desperate for moisture. Land is dry, ponds are low. The pattern shift brings you opportunities for precipitation. Whether it's snow or rain depends on temperatures, but moisture is coming. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Northern Louisiana. You're all in the potential impact zone for mid to late January. Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, Shreveport, you could all see winter weather. Ice is a particular concern for your regions because you're often right on the temperature line between snow and rain. Kentucky, you're well positioned. Louisville, Lexington, you're in the favored zone when the southern jet activates. Multiple opportunities likely through the second half of January. Now, here's what you need to understand about southern winter weather that makes it different from northern winter weather. In the north, infrastructure is built for snow. They have fleets of plows and salt trucks. Roads are designed with winter in mind. People have experience driving in snow. Schools and businesses have clear snow day policies. In the South, none of that exists. A 2-inch snow in Atlanta creates problems that a 10-inch snow in Buffalo doesn't. It's not because Southerners don't know how to drive. It's because the infrastructure isn't there. Roads don't get treated quickly. Salt supplies are limited. Plows are few. Bridges freeze before roads. Hills that are easy to navigate normally become impossible when icy. This is why preparation matters even more for you than for northern areas. You can't rely on infrastructure to bail you out. You have to be self-sufficient. So let me walk through practical preparation for areas that don't regularly see winter weather. First, your home. Check your pipes. In the South, pipes often run through exterior walls or unheated crawl spaces because they don't normally freeze. But when temperatures drop into the teens for extended periods, they will freeze. Wrap exposed pipes with insulation or heat tape. Know where your main water shutoff valve is. If a pipe bursts, shutting off the main valve immediately minimizes damage. Keep cabinet doors open under sinks to allow warm air to circulate around pipes. Let faucets drip slightly during the coldest nights. Second, your heat. Make sure your heating system works before you need it desperately. If you have a furnace, when was it last serviced? If you use space heaters, are they safe? Do you have carbon monoxide detectors? If power goes out during winter weather, how will you stay warm? Fireplace is ideal if you have one, and it works. Make sure you have firewood before the storm, not during. Generator is helpful, but must be used safely. 20 feet away from your house, outside, with good ventilation. Carbon monoxide from generators kills people every year. If you don't have fireplace or generator, identify the smallest room in your house. Bathrooms work well. Close off that room and use body heat to keep it warm. Hang blankets over windows and doorways to trap heat. Third, your vehicle. Emergency kit is essential. Blanket, food, water for 24 hours, flashlight, first aid kit, phone charger, small shovel, sand, or kitty litter for traction. Check your tires. Make sure they're properly inflated. Cold temperatures reduce tire pressure. Underinflated tires are dangerous on ice and snow. Keep your gas tank at least half full. If you get stuck or stranded, you need to be able to run your engine periodically for heat. Fourth, supplies. 3 to 5 days of food that doesn't require cooking. Water. Medications. Batteries. Batteries, flashlight, battery-powered radio. Don't wait until the day before the storm to go to the store. Stores get overwhelmed, shelves empty. Buy supplies now, over the next week, so you're ready when the pattern shifts. Fifth, knowledge. If you've never driven on snow and ice, you need to understand the basics. Speed kills. Following distance must triple or quadruple. Braking must be gentle and early. Accelerating must be gradual. Bridges freeze before roads. Overpasses are the most dangerous spots. If you see brake lights ahead, slow down early. Don't wait until you're close. Black ice is invisible. It looks like wet pavement, but it's frozen. The most dangerous time for black ice is early morning when temperatures are lowest. If you start to slide, don't panic brake. Ease off the gas. Steer in the direction you want to go. Don't overcorrect. Honestly, the safest thing to do during winter weather in the South is not drive at all. If you can stay home, stay home. No job, no errand, no event is worth dying for. Ecclesiastes 3:1 tells us, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. There is a time to travel and a time to shelter. Winter weather is time to shelter. Now, let me talk about something that's important but often overlooked. Community. Your elderly neighbors. Do they have heat? Do they have food? Are they aware that winter weather might be coming? A 5-minute conversation could save a life. During winter weather events in the South, Power outages are common because ice accumulates on power lines. Trees not adapted to ice break and fall on lines. Repairs take days because utility crews get overwhelmed. Who in your community is most vulnerable during power outages? Elderly people. People with medical conditions requiring electricity. People living alone. Make sure someone is checking on them. Also, patients with service workers. When winter weather hits the South, everyone descends on grocery stores at once. Checkout lines are long, shelves empty. The person working the register is doing their best in a stressful situation. Show kindness, not frustration. Delivery drivers, propane suppliers, utility workers, all of them are working in difficult conditions to keep everyone else safe and warm. They deserve recognition and gratitude, not complaints. Hebrews 13:16 tells us, "Do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased." Winter weather is when we have opportunity to live that out. Now, let me address something I know some of you are thinking. I've heard this before. Forecasts showed potential earlier in the winter that didn't happen. Why should I believe this time is different? Fair question. Here's my answer. I'm showing you atmospheric signals that are stronger and more persistent than what we saw earlier. I'm explaining why the pattern looks more robust. I'm being honest that details won't be clear until closer. What I'm not doing is promising you specific amounts on specific dates. What I am doing is showing you the pattern window to watch and encouraging you to prepare. If mid-January arrives and the pattern shifts, but the storm tracks too far east or too far west, or the cold air is weaker than forecast, or the moisture doesn't materialize, then you're prepared for nothing. That's not a bad outcome. Being prepared and not needing it is better than needing it and not being prepared. Romans 5:3-5 tells us suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame. You've been disappointed before. That suffering has produced perseverance. You're still watching. You're still hoping. That hope is not misplaced. Whether this particular pattern delivers or not, winter weather will happen in the South eventually. It always does. And when it does, you'll be ready because you prepared. Before I close, let me give you the timeline and action items. Week 1. January 1st through 7th, cold for the east, lake effect and clipper systems for the north. South stays cold and dry. Use this week to prepare, check pipes, stock supplies, make plans. Week 2, January 8th through 15th, pattern begins to shift. West Coast storms increase. Pacific systems start crossing Rockies. First opportunities for more widespread winter weather. Monitor forecasts daily during this time frame. Week 3, January 15th through 23rd. Prime window for southern winter weather. Gulf moisture meets Arctic air. Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas, Carolinas, Virginia, all in potential impact zones. This is what you've been waiting for. Week 4, January 23rd through 31st. Pattern could support additional systems. Too far out for details, but remain alert. Key numbers to remember. AO at -2.5. NAO forecast below -2. Gulf waters above normal temperature. All favorable signals. If you found this forecast helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you could click the like button. It helps others in your area find this information. Subscribe if you haven't. This pattern is developing over the next 2 weeks. You'll want daily updates as we get closer to the window. Share with people who need it. Neighbors who don't follow weather. Family who might not be prepared. Friends in areas that could see winter weather. Comment your city and state. Let me know who's watching and waiting. Psalm 27:14. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. You've been waiting. You've been patient. You've been disappointed. But your time may finally be coming. Prepare well. Hope wisely. Trust deeply. Happy New Year. Stay informed. Stay prepared. And may God bless and keep you through this winter season. I'll see you in tomorrow's update.